live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the 9 PM news on the prestigious channel of Sri Lanka. I'm Nikith Karunaratne.
And I'm Kasni Balachandra Adhikari. We start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
19 persons, including children, perish when a trainer jet crashed into a school in Bangladesh. More than 100 injured. The cremation ceremony of Venerable Anamaduwe Dhammadasi Thera will be held on the 24th of this month with full state honours. The President in his condolence message says that the passing away of the Venerable Thera is an irreparable loss to the country and the Buddha Sasana. 21 persons injured in a bus accident at Galigamur. Body of the missing university student recovered after 18 hours. Inflation records a downward trend. An increase in the state income compared with the period from January to May last year. Continued assistance of the IMF to stabilize the Sri Lankan economy. Hambantota salt production recommenced after 18 months. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation to purchase fuel in a new arrangement.
And we move on to those and other stories in detail. In your top story tonight, and that's from overseas, 19 people, including 16 children, died after a Bangladesh fighter jet crashed into the campus of the Milestone School and College in capital Dhaka's Uttara neighborhood. The plane that crashed was an F-7 BGI, an advanced version of the Chinese J-7 fighter. It took off at 1:06 p.m. Bangladesh time on a training flight but crashed shortly afterwards into a building where students were taking tests or attending regular classes. 16 children, 2 teachers and the pilot, Flight Lieutenant Mohammed Tukir Islam, were killed in the crash that took place early afternoon today. Over 100 people, many of whom are students, were injured, some with severe burns, and have been rushed to nearby medical facilities. At least 8 are in critical condition, doctors have confirmed, while a medical professional at the city's National Institute of Burn and Plastic Surgery said the number of injured is increasing. The country's interim leader Mohammed Yunus has expressed deep grief and sorrow over the incident in a post on X. Mohammed Yunus has mentioned that a thorough investigations will be launched regarding this incident. The cremation ceremony of Venerable Anamaduwe Dhammadasi Thera, Anunayak of the Askiri chapter of Mahavihara Vanshika Shyamapali Mahanikaya and chief incumbent of Atkandaraja Mahavihara, who passed away today, will be held on the 24th of this month with full state honours at the police grounds Askiria in Kandy.
Upali Rajakaruna, born on the 3rd of September 1958 to the parents of Rajakaruna Herat Mudyansalage Mahanama Rajakaruna and Adhikari Mudyansalage Punchimanike at Kottukachia village in Anumaduwa, was the 5th child of a family of 7 members. He entered the Buddhist Bhikkhu order as Venerable Anamaduwe Dhammadasi Thera on the 19th of May 1976. Venerable Dhammadasi Thera had his initial education at Sri Jnaneswara Pirivena of Gangarama Vihara, Hunupitiya in Colombo. The Venerable Thera obtained his higher ordination on the 20th of May 1979. The Venerable Thera obtained a special degree in the Pali language from the University of Peradeniya in 1982 and later received his master's degree from the Postgraduate Institute of Pali and Buddhist Studies attached to the University of Kelaniya. The Venerable Thera also held the positions of the President of the Shasana Rakshaka Balamandalaya of Kandy, President of the Kandy District Shasana Rakshaka Balamandalaya and the Vice President of the All Ceylon Shasana Rakshaka Balamandalaya. Venerable Anamaduwe Dhammadasi Thera has been a lecturer of the Sariputta National College of Education and later served as a lecturer of the Sri Lanka Bhikkhu University for nearly 12 years. The Venerable Thera was also felicitated as the Chief Registrar of the Askiri Mahavihara chapter on the 1st of March 2008. The Venerable also engaged in Dhammaduta missions in India, Pakistan, Indonesia, Thailand, China, England, Japan and a number of other countries, and also became the 33rd Anunayaka of the Askiri Mahavihara chapter on the 5th of May 2016. Venerable Anamaduwe Dhammadasi Thera was undergoing treatment due to illness at a private hospital in Kandy. President Anurakumara Disanayaka has issued a condolence message on the passing away of Venerable Anamaduwe Dhammadasi Anunayaka Thera. The President has emphasized in his message of condolence that the late Venerable Thero rendered an immense service to the country, the Sambuddha Sasana and the entire world at large during the 67 years of life's journey. The Venerable Thera was also responsible in providing an invaluable service to the Dhamma education on behalf of the future generation of this country. The President also described the noble Dhamma service delivered by the Venerable Thero following the great tradition of the Askiri Mahavihara, and also stated that the passing away of Venerable Anamaduwe Dhammadasi Thera is a huge loss to the Askiriya chapter, the country and especially to the Buddha Sasana.
Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya stated in her condolence message that Venerable Anamaduwe Dhammadasi Thera, who rendered an incomparable service to the Buddhist population of this country and abroad, the Venerable Thera also rendered great service through all Ceylon Shasana Rakshaka Balamandalaya. The Prime Minister added that the late Thera was a disciplined personality with all the qualities of a righteous Buddhist monk. The Prime Minister also pointed out that the Venerable Thera was dedicated in following the great tradition and nobility of the Askiriya Vihara chapter by conducting a noble service of the Sri Dhanada Maligava.
Leader of the opposition Sajit Premadasa has also issued a message of condolence on the passing away of Venerable Anamaduwe Dhammadasi Anunayaka Thera. He stated that the Venerable rendered an incomparable service for the betterment of the Buddha Sasana and to enrich both clergy and laymen, according to the noble teachings during the Thera's more than 39 years of ordained life. The Venerable also guided the people along the Dhamma path and rendered leadership for the advancement of the nation, religion and the Buddha Sasana, the leader of the opposition added.
The headline inflation as measured by the National Consumer Price Index on an year-on-year basis has reduced to 0.3% in June in comparison to May this year. The Department of Census and Statistics issued these figures today. Accordingly, this is a drop from the 0.6% recorded in May this year. Food inflation has also decreased to 4.2% in June 2025 from 5.9% reported in May. Non-food inflation also reported to drop to minus 2.8% in June from the minus 3.4% recorded in May.
According to the Central Bank, the state income ending the month of May this year has gone up to 1,942.4 billion rupees compared with the period from January to May last year. During the 5 months ending in May 2025, the government revenue and grants increased to 1,942.4 billion rupees compared to the 1,619.2 billion rupees in the corresponding period of 2024. The overall budget deficit increased to 236.6 billion rupees during the first 5 months of this year compared to 366.6 billion rupees in the corresponding period of 2024.
A discussion between President Anurakumara Disanayaka and representatives of the International Monetary Fund was held today at the Presidential Secretariat regarding the future review of the extended credit facility between the IMF and Sri Lanka. President Disanayaka noted that Sri Lanka has achieved a level of economic stability under the present administration and emphasized that building on this foundation, the government is prepared to accelerate efforts to integrate Sri Lanka into the global economy through sustainable growth and the pursuit of emerging economic opportunities. The President also outlined the country's present economic challenges and reiterated the importance of incorporating measures to ease the burden on the public in the 2026 budget despite these constraints. The discussion further focused on facilitating investment through policy reforms and tariff concessions aimed at fostering an investor-friendly environment. The President expressed confidence that Sri Lanka would continue to benefit from the IMF's support in ensuring long-term economic stability and consistency in policy direction. President Dissanayake expressed his gratitude for the support extended to Sri Lanka by the IMF so far and emphasized that he is committed to ensuring that all the benefits of the country's economic growth are delivered to the people. The representatives of the International Monetary Fund, commending the commitment of the government under the leadership of the President to advancing Sri Lanka's economic progress, also agreed to extend the necessary support to maintain an economic stability and further Sri Lanka's global advancement. The IMF delegation included Mission Chief for Sri Lanka, Evan Papageorgiou, along with resident representatives Martha Waldemichael and Manavi Abevikrama.
Now 21 persons have been injured in a collision of two buses in the Galigamur area in Kegol. The injured were admitted to Kegol and the Varakapula hospitals. The accident occurred when a private bus running from Kegol to Ratnapura collided head-on with an SLTB bus running from Maragoda to Kegol. Our correspondent said that the majority of passengers in the private bus were injured. The hospital sources say that the condition of 3 of the injured is critical. Passengers said that the accident occurred due to carelessness of the driver of the private bus. 2 persons were injured and hospitalized in a collision of SLTB bus with a tipper truck at the Thittavel Mankanda area along the Colombo-Kandy main road. Police say that a passenger bus bound to Colombo from Anuradhapura veered off the road after it was knocked on a tipper. The cause of the accident is the bus leaning to the opposite side. Among the injured are the driver of the bus and a Buddhist monk. The Noida police conducts further investigation.
The body of the female university student who went missing after falling into the Mahaveli-Viana canal at Mapakada Vava along the Mahiyangana Badulla road was found this morning from the Diabana reservoir after 18 hours of the incident. The victim has been identified as 26-year-old, a resident of Hampantota who was continuing higher education at the Rajarata University. She met with this accident while travelling to her home in Hampantota via Mahiyangana in a motor car with her fiancé. They have had a rest close to the Viana Canal at the 17th milepost area at Mapakadavava at about 5 p.m. yesterday. While the boy was travelling along the bank of the canal, he had suddenly fallen to the canal. The girl had jumped to the canal to save her fiancé. Since both were washed away, police officer Sumed Bandara of the Mapakadavava Police Training College and his wife had jumped into the canal and saved the boy. 2 individuals who went fishing in Panadua Lake in Udavalava have drowned. The 2 individuals drowned while fishing using support of a tube. The life-saving officers of the Ambalapitia police divers arrived at the scene and commenced a search operation during which the body of 1 individual was recovered. He was identified as a 29-year-old youth from Panadua area. The other missing person is reported to be a 33-year-old officer attached to the Veyangoda Army Camp. The Colombo High Court handed over indictments to the imprisoned former ministers Mahindananda Aluthakamage and Nalin Fernando and to the former Secretary of the Ministry of Sports Nanda Mallavarachi today. They have been charged with misappropriating a sum of over 39 million rupees through distribution of carom and checkerboards imported by the Satasa during the presidential election period 2015 with the aim of gaining political mileage. Accordingly, the 2 ministers were sentenced imprisonment by a charge that comes under the Public Property Act. The case was filed before the Colombo High Courts by the Attorney General. The 3 defendants were served indictments before the Colombo High Court Judge Manjula Tilakratna. The case is to be resummoned on the 4th of September. A foreign travel ban has been imposed on the daughter of former Minister Rohita Abegunavatana, Rochelle Melanie Abegunavatana, and her husband Virakudi Danush Priyadarshana. This action was taken by the Matugama Magistrates Court regarding an incident of using an illegal motor vehicle.
The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation says that the government is now having talks to include US West Texas Intermediate crude oil into the procurement process of crude oil as an attempt to reduce the trade deficit with the USA. Chairman of the corporation, Janaka Rajakaruna, revealed this fact at a media briefing held today. Chairman of the CPETCO, Janaka Rajakaruna, said that they were currently examining the possibility of refining WTI crude oil imported from the United States at Sri Lanka's local refinery. He said that steps were being taken to obtain samples for testing, and once those samples were received, they would be tested to assess compatibility with the local refinery. If the results were positive, tenders would be called under standard procurement procedures. He added that this would allow suppliers of both urban and WTI crude oils to participate. Now, in the meantime, the Lanka Salt Company has restarted production of salt at the Hambantota Saltern after 18 months. A harvest of 40,000 metric tons of salt is expected from this saltern this season. After stoppage of production of salt at the Hambantota Saltern 18 months ago, the production of Laklunu commenced at the Bundala Saltern at the auspicious time according to tradition this morning. Chairman of the Lanka Salt Company, D. Nandanatilaka, and several others were present on this occasion. The Lanka Salt Company manufactures 1 kilogram of salt crystals and 400 grams table salt. The annual demand of salt in the country is 180,000 metric tons. The Lanka Salt Company provides 100,000 metric tons of the total demand. The price of exported salt increased very high due to the disruption of supply during the past period. If the Lanka Salt Company is able to continue its production successfully within the next few months, the price of salt at the market is to be further reduced.
The World Mangrove Day fell on the 20th of July. The Ministry of Environment has taken steps to organize several special programs parallel to this event. A media meeting was held today under the guidance of Minister Dr. Dhammika Pattabandi in order to raise awareness in this regard. Mangroves can be found at places where seawater and the land merges, which is a sensitive plant community with a huge biodiversity. Mangrove trees, which are created based on environments such as lagoons, outfalls and small islands, contribute heavily to maintain the environment between the sea and the land. These ecosystems provided a silent contribution for the food safety and the well-being of coastal fauna and flora. At present, mangroves are faced with a mega threat due to various human activities, and in Sri Lanka, mangroves can be noticed at lagoons such as Putlam, Nigambo and Madhu River and along other rivers. These mangroves are unique since they include certain mangrove species endemic to Sri Lanka. This year's program has been named under the caption "Let the Mangroves Grow," another step of the Banaspati National Program to safeguard environment. Minister of Environment Dr. Dhammika Pattabandi said that on 26 July at 8:30 am, the Ministry's Biodiversity Division, in collaboration with the Department of Wildlife Conservation, would launch a special program at the Anavilanduvan Sanctuary to mark the conservation of mangrove ecosystems. He further stated that following this event, the Ministry of Environment and the Department of Forest Conservation would officially declare 8 mangrove forests in the Putlam district, including the Karamba Mangrove Forest in Palavia. Well, more stories coming up right after this break.
රසකුරේ කරගන්න මේ හැමදේතන අපි කැමතිම දේ ප්‍රීමා ස්ටෙලා අපි හැමෝම කැමති.
Live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Welcome back, and continuing with more stories from home. One of the main objectives of the government is to provide a comfortable residence for every family by making every family financially strong and directly involving their participation in the economy for a convenient life. Presentation of checks for 111 selected houses and recipients was conducted today with the same objective. The function was organised at the Kalutara District Secretariat Auditorium under the leadership of the Minister of Urban Development and Housing, Anura Karuna Tilaka. This program is being implemented with the objective of providing a convenient house for the poor community living in 14 divisional secretariat divisions in the Kalutara district under the House for All housing program. The occasion was joined by Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa and a group of others. Minister of Urban Development, Construction and Housing, Anura Karuna Tilaka, said that under the Housing Assistance Programme, the government is expected to provide 20,854 houses across the country this year with a budget allocation of 3 billion rupees. He stated that as a part of this programme, 155 houses were being constructed in the Kalutara district and that a new loan scheme worth 1 billion rupees would be introduced, targeting the public sector employees. He added that the government hoped to gradually meet the country's housing needs under the National Housing Development Authority through such initiatives. Minister of Health and Mass Media Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa said that recent news reports clearly reflected the deep-rooted issues the country had faced for years. He gave an example from the Kalutara district, noting that it had been long a hub for illegal vehicle assembly rackets. He said that people should not question why these rackets weren't exposed earlier, since previous governments had failed to act largely because political leaders and state officials at the time were involved in such illegal activities.
The Department of the Meteorology has issued a red notice for the next 16 hours when the wind speed might increase up to 60 to 70 kilometers per hour. At the same time, heavy rains of 75 millimeters are expected in western, Sabaragamu and central provinces and in Galle and Matra districts. It requests the public to be on alert regarding the strong windy condition. A sluice gate of the Upper Kotmale Reservoir was opened in the early morning today due to an incessant rain. The Disaster Management Unit requests the residents of low-lying areas to be careful since the rest of sluice gates will also open automatically. An earth mound has fallen onto the road of Vatavala-Rosala area on the Hatton-Colombo main road around 4 a.m. today. Vehicular traffic has been hampered due to this.
Dr. Nadisha Chandrasena, who received the 2025 WIPO Global Award for Intellectual Property presented by the World Intellectual Property Organization, United Nations agency dedicated to intellectual property, innovation and creativity, met with Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya today. Dr. Chandrasena's smart drainage system concept, developed as a solution to open drainage systems clogged by plastic and polythene waste, was selected as a winner at the WIPO award ceremony held in Geneva, Switzerland. Her innovation stood out among 780 organizations from 95 countries. During the meeting, the Prime Minister extended her congratulations to Dr. Chandrasena. Secretary to the Prime Minister Pradeep Saputantri was also present on this occasion.
A special train is to run from Colombo Fort to Jaffna to mark the Day of Fraternity that falls on the 23rd of July. It has been named as the Train of Fraternity. The Socialists Youth Union requests the public to join this tour with the aim of creating a country without racism.
President of the Socialist Youth Union Deputy Minister Eranga Gunasekara said that the entire country had now come to understand that Sri Lanka's progress and development could only be achieved through unity and cooperation, not through nationalism. He stated that Sri Lanka must move forward by completely rejecting divisive nationalist ideologies, not only in principle but also in practice. The minister emphasized that the country was ready to mark Brotherhood Day in a meaningful manner. He said that on the 23rd of July, a symbolic train named the Train of Brotherhood would depart from the Colombo Fort railway station at 6:40 a.m. heading towards Jaffna, and invited all Sri Lankans who believe in national unity regardless of ethnicity to join the journey. He pointed out that during the time of the Civil War, it was weapons and violence that travel along this route. However, he said this time the journey would be made with books, love and the spirit of brotherhood.
Minister of Health and Mass Media Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa says a new ward complex will be allocated to the Batiklo Teaching Hospital next year. A number of essential equipment will also be donated to the hospital in future. The minister made these remarks joining an inspection tour in the Batiklo Teaching Hospital, which is the biggest hospital in the district recently. The minister inspected the outpatient department, cardiology unit, surgical wards, surgical theatres, residential treatment wards, other treatment units and the development projects of the hospital. Then the minister held discussions with the management and the staff of the hospital. It was proposed to totally demolish the 80-year-old ward buildings, the obstetric and gynecologic unit, and construct a 6-storied new ward complex. Funds for this project is to be allocated from the next budget. It has also been decided to start the construction of the renal treatment unit within next 2 months. The minister further said that measures soon will be taken to set up a new MRI scan machine within the hospital premises. Minister Dr. Nalin Jatis has said that the citizens in the country were facing hardships due to various reasons. He noted that in some regions economic crisis and conflict were the main causes, while in others natural disasters had worsened the situation. The minister stated that the ongoing health sector transformation aims at building a more people-centric healthcare system. He emphasized that citizens were the ones who shaped the country's economy and the government's responsibility was to ensure they had access to quality healthcare within a short distance. The minister pointed out that this was why the president, in his capacity as finance minister, had allocated 604 billion rupees for health in the last budget.
The Sri Lanka Catholic Diocese says that taking disciplinary action against former director of the State Intelligence Service, Senior DIG Nilantha Jayawardena, is a positive step. At a press briefing held today, media spokesman of the Colombo Archdiocese, Reverend Father Cyril Gamini, said, however, the current need is to field a criminal case against him according to the recommendations made by the relevant Presidential Commission. The Colombo Archdiocese Reverend Father Cyril Gamini stressed that the Catholic Church in Sri Lanka and the Global Catholic Church does not endorse the death sentence. DIG Jayawardena has been expelled by the Police Commission following a Supreme Court order and the recommendations by the Presidential Commission which probed the Easter Sunday bomb attacks of 2019. The Catholic Church also expects that all recommendations made by the Presidential Commission will be implemented and hope that more information will come out of probes carried out on the Easter Sunday bomb attacks. The Cardinal only wanted all officers who were transferred in 2020 to be reinstated. And that's all the news we have from home. Stay tuned for foreign news coming up next.
And taking a look at foreign news tonight, Japan's ruling coalition led by Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba has lost its majority in the upper house following a key election marked by public frustration over rising prices and US trade tensions. The Liberal Democratic Party and its junior partner Komeito won only 47 seats, falling short of 50 needed to maintain control of the 248-seat chamber. The main opposition, the Constitutional Democratic Party, secured 22 seats. Despite the setback, Ishiba said he would not resign, calling the results harsh, but stressing his focus remains on ongoing trade talks. The loss deals another blow to the coalition, which had already lost its majority in the more powerful lower house last year. Analysts say the outcome reflects growing discontent with Ishiba's leadership during a cost of living crisis and amid political scandals. The Nationalist Sensiato Party, which gained 14 seats, made significant inroads by appealing to conservative voters with anti-immigration rhetoric and conspiracy theories. Markets responded calmly to the election outcome, with the yen gaining strength, suggesting investors had anticipated the result. Taking a look at your sports news tonight, Yavan David of Sri Lanka has been able to win the second position in the rankings at the end of the 5 rounds of 2025 Euro Formula Open Motor Racing Championship.
Timur Kucharczyk of Poland is leading the rankings. The 5th round was held in France, which included 3 competitions. Evan David was able to secure the second place in the first race and became 12th at the end of the second competition. In the third competition, he secured the 10th place. Evan David, with 213 points, is now in the second position in the list of rankings. Timek Kuchasik of Poland, who is leading the rankings, secured 230 points. The next competition of the Euro Formula Open Motor Racing Championship will be held in Austria. And that's all the news we have for today. Join us again at the same time tomorrow. Good night.
Good night.